In this video, we are going to go over the standard form notes on Desmos. So standard form is just ax plus by equals c, where a, b, and c are just numbers. So the reason why we use standard form is to solve for the x-intercept and the y-intercept. So it's really important to note on the x-axis, every single number you choose, the y will be 0. Doesn't matter if you go left or right, the y will always be 0. Now on the x-axis, it's the opposite. I'm sorry, on the y-axis, this is the y-axis, you would have, let's say, 0, 3 or 0, 1. Here, your x will always be 0. So that is where the zeros come from on the next slides. So this slide just gives you an example. You let y equal 0, you plug it in, it becomes a one step. And then you have to do that for the y-intercept. So it's really two different problems. Here, you want to start with the original problem. And then just like slide 1 and 2 says, you're going to set equal to 0, the y value. When you do, 0 goes in place of y, just like here. And then once you do, negative 10 times 0 goes away, and we're left with just negative 5x equals 60. So you're going to divide by negative 5. You're going to get x equals a number, but your final answer is an ordered pair. The reason why, if I were to graph negative 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, it would be right there to the left. Now for the y-intercept, same idea. We want to start with the original equation. And this time we're going to let x equal 0. So wherever we see an x, we're going to replace it with 0. Now negative 5 times 0 goes away because it's just 0. So we're left with negative 10y equals 60. So we divide everything by 10. We get y equals negative 6, but we have to put it in an ordered pair. We want to remember that x equals 0 and that y equals negative 6. So there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 down on the y-axis, and then you can create a line, and that's how you graph from 2 points. That's how you graph from the x and y intercept. Now you're going to order these the same way. So I will let you try to do that on your own. The fire icon will appear when you are correct. So number 5, I took a picture of my expected work. And please note that it is not the problem given. It's just kind of reminding you to set up a T chart. So we have x-intercept and we have the y-intercept. So the x-intercept, we need to remember that our y is always going to be 0. So this problem right here, the one that I gave you, you are just going to rewrite, but wherever you see a y, you're going to replace it with 0. So then 4 times 0 goes away, and we're left with 10x equals 20. So to undo multiplying by 10, we're going to divide. Now, if you tried to put x equals 2 into the coding, x equals 2, it would still be red. If you put 2, that would still be incorrect. You have to remember that the actual answer is 2, 0, because it's an ordered pair. Now for the y-intercept, we're going to have x equals 0. So wherever you see an x, you're going to plug in 0. So then we have 4y equals 20. Divide by 4, our y is 5. Once again, our x we found was 0 and our y is 5. So that would be 0, 5. So that is the work that I expect. Same thing for slide number 6. I'm not going to go through all of these. So this is the problem that I'm giving you. X-intercept, y-intercept. So my y will have to equal 0. So then I have 5x equals negative 20. So then my ordered pair would be negative 4, 0. And then my x value would be 0 for the y-intercept. So then now wherever I see an x, I'm going to do this. Now you have to be careful. The biggest mistake I see every year, students cross out that, but then they forget to drop down the negative sign. You have to remember that that is a really negative 2y equals negative 20. So then we're going to have to divide by negative 2, and y equals 10.
Hello, Beeman students. You have 1 minute to get to class. Again.
So if you need to write it down here, so that's the x-intercept, and then the y-intercept is its own. So then it's 0, 10. Now you're going to do the exact same thing for slide 7, slide 8. But slide 9 is kind of getting you into where we're going. So here's the equation. And we're going to find the x-intercept. And that's when y is 0. So then I have 6x equals 18. So then it's just a one step. So you get 3, 0. Now go to the point that I labeled x-intercept and go to where the point is 3, 0. Now for the y-intercept, you're going to do the same thing, but you're going to do x equals 0. And then that goes away. We're left with 2y equals 18, which is just a one step. So where is 0, 9? 0, 9 is up here. Notice that my 2 points will always be on the axis. This is always going to be on the x-axis, and then your y-intercept will always be on the y-axis. You will never have a point in these quadrants, not when you're just solving for it. Do the same thing for slide 10. Now slide 11, we're putting it all together. So I have this equation 6x plus 3y equals 12. So step 1 says find the x and y intercepts. So you're going to do exactly what we've been doing, no different. So then I get 6x equals 12, divide by 6. Now this is where you have to actually use the graph. 2, 0 is here. I'm going to go back to your work paper. The y-intercept, x equals 0. So then I have 3y equals 12. So my x is 0 and my y is 4. So then 0, 4 is on the y-axis. So what we just did, we graphed step 1 and we just did step 2. Step 3 now says connect the points using the line tool. So I'm going to click on the line and I'm going to connect it. Try to make it as perfect as possible. And then step 4, it says check. If your line is the same as the line graph, then you know you are correct. It goes through these points. It goes through 2 comma 0 and 0 comma 4. Now my line is slightly off because I didn't use a ruler or anything, but this is correct. If I would have switched them or did the wrong math, then my points would be all over the place. And then I will do one more. So for the x-intercept, remember y equals 0. So then I'm left with 2x equals 18. So x equals 9, but the ordered pair is 9 comma 0. So 9 comma 0 is right there. The y-intercept, x equals 0. Now I mentioned this in a previous slide. You have to remember that negative sign. So then y equals negative 6. So then that would be the point. I actually have to use this point. I'm going to use my line tool, connect it, and I'm going to check the graph. So that's how I know that I did it correct. Now, this is the nice thing about this self-check. Let's see what happens if I make a mistake. Okay, so I'm going to put this on here, telling people like, hey, this is going to be wrong, so make sure that you know that. So, what happens if I, let's say, graph this point, 9 comma 0, and that's right, okay? But then let's say I forgot about this negative sign, negative, 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 and all of a sudden I get a positive. 18 over 3 is a positive 6. So then I plot it at positive 6, and then I connect the points. Checking the graph will make me realize like, oh, I made a mistake. So my mistake isn't here. I did this part right. It's this part. So you get to go back and be like, oh, what did I do wrong? Oh, I forgot the negative sign. So then that would have changed your answer. So just make sure that you are graphing and you're using this self-check to benefit you. Make sure that you show the work that is needed to be successful with these types of problems. Now, slide 13 and 14, I want you to try on your own. And then, as always, make sure that you upload your work. If you are struggling on what the work needs to look at or look like, please make sure you go back to slide 5. And that's what I expect for all of these problems. All right, thank you.